Today is March 31st. This is the general session of the Board of Commissioners. First, I should let everybody know this is a public meeting being recorded. Welcome this morning. We kindly ask that everybody that's on the call this morning, on the video conference this morning, maintain the same decorum that you would maintain if we were meeting in person. This is no different, even though it's video conferenced. Please make sure that your line is muted. If you are on video, it's simple. It's up on the upper right-hand corner. Just tap your screen and there's a mute button there. If you are on the phone, press *6. That will mute your line. It will also unmute your line. And then finally, at the end of the session today, we will open up the meeting to any members of the media. I have a fantastic video of Mark Kovac right dead center in front of me today. Good morning, Mark. It's good to see you. So I know that Mark Kovac from the Columbus Dispatch is here, but if there's any other members of the media, we'll open up questions from the media at the end of general session today. And then we will begin this morning with the Pledge of Allegiance led by my daughter, Erin. So, all right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
Now, Aaron, I say this to all the students who come all the time. You're welcome to stay and learn all about county government if you'd like, but if not, you can go do your homework. You can go get breakfast first. But please go do your homework. All right. And then let's begin with the engineer. Good morning, Mr. Cordell. How are you?
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm doing quite well, President O'Grady. How are you all doing?
Great.
Good.
Reporting live from the Franklin County Engineers Schatz Lane facility. My name is Cornell Robertson, County Engineer for everyone in Franklin County. And I will wait for the first resolution to be read, and I will present it.
Thank you, Mr. Engineer. Resolution number 218-20. Resolution awarding contract and approving contract bond to Double Z Construction Company for the Hayden Run Central Ohio Greenways Trail improvements in the amount of $839,959.08.
Commissioners, this capital improvement project is in the northwest part of the county on the line between Norwich Township and Washington Township. It is a project to finish and fill a gap in a shared use path along the north side of Hayden Run Road, under I-270 and over Hayden Run Creek. This is a cooperative project that includes the City of Hilliard, City of Columbus, ODOT, and Franklin County. This resolution is a construction contract award to Double Z. We held a competitive bid on March 10th. We had 3 bidders, and Double Z had the lowest and best bid. Getting any questions, I request your approval.
I'll second.
Commissioner Boyce, did you make the motion? I'm sorry, sir. You keep, hold on one second.
I made the motion. I'll repeat it. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay now?
I can, sir. Thank you.
I read your lips.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
I can, Commissioner.
Okay. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 218-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
The resolution has been adopted. Resolution number 219.
Hey, Dean, do we
Yes,
need to approve the minutes from our last meeting? Did we miss
I
that?
apologize. You are correct. Well, you know what? You want to do that now, Dean, or do you want to?
How about if we circle back, Commissioner?
All right, let's do that after the engineers. Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Resolution number 219-20. Resolution awarding contract and approving contract bond to M.P. Dory Company for the 2020-2021 Guardrail Repair and Upgrade Program in the amount of $346,700.
Commissioners, as stated, this resolution is a construction contract award with MP Dory for the 2020-2021 guardrail repair contract. We held a competitive bid also on March 10th. We had 2 bidders for this project, and MP Dory had the lowest and best bid. Again, pending any questions, I request your approval.
Thank you, engineer. So the only question I have is, given the state of society today with the pandemic, is this a project that will go on as planned and as scheduled?
Yes, sir. This project in 2019, we repaired approximately 8,700 feet of guardrail. We also responded to 25 different vehicle crashes that impacted the guardrail and repaired those. So, as is not a surprise, our roadway and bridge infrastructure is critical. It's going to continue to be used even in these very difficult times for folks that need to go to the grocery, that need to go to the hospitals, need to go to the doctors, first responders, so on and so forth. So I would recommend that we definitely continue this program, as I would expect there'd be some guardrail to be replaced.
Okay, thank you. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of Resolution 219-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 219-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 220-20, plans approved for the replacement of the structure on Ridpath Road 0.69 over Stanford Smith Ditch, JAC 270-0.69, Jackson Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Again, Commissioners, this capital improvement project is in the southwest part of the county to replace Ridpath Road Bridge over Stanford Smith Ditch in Jackson Township. We have prepared a cost estimate for construction in the amount of $237,810.70. This is based on a database of contractors' prices for similar projects with similar pay items. With this resolution, we are asking you to review, approve, and sign the PS&E, which stands for Plans, Specifications, and Estimate. I will literally, not virtually, I will literally deliver the title sheet Mylar for your signature if you approve this resolution later today. Thank you.
Okay. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption.
Excuse me, Commissioner, I do have a question, and it goes back to the question you asked before on the prior resolution. Cornell, are you taking a look at all of your projects to see and make sure that everything you're doing is essential work given what we're dealing with now? And are there projects that could be held up because of what we're dealing with now and with county budgets going to be what they are in the future?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Excellent question. We had an extensive meeting yesterday of the upper level management there at the Franklin County Engineer's Office. We met for 4.5 hours, went through each of the projects that we're working on, whether they be in construction, ready for construction and bidding, whether they be in design or on deck to be designed. And we have begun the process to prioritize and determine which of the projects are more essential than others, so to speak, and are working on that list of ones that we may potentially put on hold. We want to minimize how much we put on hold, but we've got to balance with the situation and the budget impacts that we forecast in regards to motor vehicle registration fees and revenue from gas user fees. Thank you for the question.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 220-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 220-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 221-20, Ascension Construction Solutions Incorporated Consulting Engineers appointed to assist the Franklin County Engineer by providing construction inspection services, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $208,500.53.
Commissioners, this resolution is a professional services contract with Ascension to provide construction inspection on Allen Creek Drive Connected Vehicle Environment Project, as well as general drainage maintenance program. Ascension is a woman-owned, certified minority business enterprise, local, economically disadvantaged enterprise, disadvantaged business enterprise, diverse business enterprise, and small business enterprise. We utilize the qualifications-based selection process and would recommend your approval.
Outstanding. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 221-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 221-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 222-20, resolution authorizing participation in the Ohio Department of Transportation winter contract for road salt, Franklin County, Ohio.
Commissioners, this is an annual resolution to participate in ODOT's winter contract for road salt. This collaborative bidding process increases the purchase quantity for lower unit prices for all participating agencies. The Franklin County Engineers Office, we propose to purchase 8,000 tons of road salt between September 1st, 2020 and April 30th, 2021. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 222-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 222-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, commissioners, very much. I appreciate it greatly. Stay safe.
Thanks, Dean. Thanks, Cornell. Be safe.
Commissioner, would you like to go back to the minutes now, please?
Yes, please. Sorry about that. We're little out of sorts trying out this new system, so we will need approval of the minutes of the March 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 27th, 2020 administrative briefing sessions.
If there are no comments, questions, or changes, move for adoption.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
The minutes have been approved.
All right. Sorry about that. Now to the sheriff.
Resolution number 223-20, resolution authorizing a maintenance agreement with Metals Treatment Technologies LLC for bullet strap cleaning and lead abatement at the Sheriff's Office firing range in the amount of $24,620.
Good morning, everyone. This is Dave Masterson representing Sheriff Dallas Baldwin. This contract will authorize MT2 to clean the Sheriff's Office bullet traps of expense rounds of ammunition and to properly dispose of the waste. The lead and brass will be containerized and loaded onto a licensed transport vehicle and subsequently delivered to an MT2 vetted recycling facility. Pending any questions, we ask for approval of this resolution.
Outstanding. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 223-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 223-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, commissioners. Take care.
Thanks. Be safe, Dave. All right. Sorry. The auditor.
Resolution number 224-20, first amended resolution extending the period for filing an application for the registration of dogs in Franklin County without penalty pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 955.01.
Good morning, President O'Grady, Commissioners Boyce, Commissioner Brown, Michael Sanziano, your Franklin County Honor. It's my pleasure and opportunity to bring forward this resolution. It seeks to extend the deadline to purchase a new dog license without the additional penalty fee from March 31st, 2020 to June 30th, 2020. The resolution, as drafted, would apply only to 2020, keeping the previous pilot program timeframe that you all helped pass earlier for March 31st for 2021. I am encouraged and happy to report that although sales in the last few weeks have been affected by the health emergency, there are still good lessons to be learned from our first extended dog license period in the pilot program, including hitting record annual numbers of permanent dog licenses at 2,087 and 3-year dog licenses at 6,598, with over 12,987 more dog licensed during the current extension time. And while the office is still accepting applications online and by mail, both the closure of the building to the public and the state mandated stay-at-home order have created complications for those without traditional banking or credit access, as well as those that have found themselves waiting till the deadline and not being in the economic position they would want to be in. Additionally, as you're aware, low-cost rabies clinics and veterinarian offices have also been affected by the COVID-19 orders and actions, placing a burden on those who needed to update rabies tag before they could purchase a license. We do believe extending the deadline will allow our office time to adjust the schedule, additional mailings, and communicate with businesses and residents throughout Franklin County. Pending any questions, we'd appreciate and recommend approval of this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Auditor. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 224-20.
I do have, sorry, I do have a question.
I thought you were trying to fist pump me, President O'Grady.
Yeah, that'll come later. So I was asking Bethany in briefing session the other day about replacement tags. My dog lost her tags during, I don't know if she was running around the backyard or if it was on a walk here recently. But you guys aren't putting out, and it is, I mean, obviously my dog needs replacement tags, but for anybody who would need either replacement tags or to get new tags, you guys aren't putting those out right now currently just because of the situation.
We have provided to Kevin in your office the information to get the replacement tag, and we are mailing out and providing and processing accordingly.
Oh, okay, you are then. Okay, good. So I got you. That's good. Okay, then don't worry about it. If you guys are actually processing, my question was going to be for myself, obviously, but also for the general public. If you're not currently processing them due to COVID-19, but if you are, then I understand. That's good.
The office has done a wonderful job and really appreciate our leadership team's response to the different orders. Portions of the governor's order did make aspects of the office essential. And so where we do have mail coming in or different features, we're able to coordinate with telecommuting employees. So things are still processing a little slower, but staying on top of our different functions as best we can.
That's fantastic. She doesn't much go anywhere other than either the backyard or on a leash. If she were to happen to get into the front yard, she turns around and comes right back. She knows where her bread is buttered. So I'm not too concerned with her not having her actual license. She has 2 of her 4 tags. She only lost 2 of them, but that's not that big an issue. So no big deal. But thanks. I just wanted to make sure that if there was an issue for the public that got answered, but obviously you guys have taken care of it. So great work. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead, Kevin. I apologize.
If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 224-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 224-20 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Stay safe. Probate court.
Resolution number 225-20. Resolution authorizing a non-general fund supplemental appropriation from the Probate Court's Special Projects Fund, the support of social media and other outreach to ensure citizen awareness of the Real ID Act and other purposes in the amount of $180,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. May it please the Board, President O'Grady, Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Boyce. I'm Michael Moran, Chief Counsel to Probate Judge Robert G. Montgomery, and thank you for allowing me to appear by telephone. I didn't have a camera on my computer, and I'm still learning the new process, so I appreciate your sufferance on that. Commissioners, you have before you a resolution requesting a supplemental appropriation from the Probate Court's Special Projects Fund. As the board knows, this is a fund that is based on user fees collected at the probate court that is not general fund money, that is under the control of the Board of Commissioners. The probate court has requested this supplemental appropriation in order to communicate with our constituents. We were already ramping up a social media program primarily for the Real ID Act prior to this entire COVID-19 public health emergency, but that has certainly attenuated the importance of being able to communicate with our constituents. I have one piece of information. The Real ID Act is a federal law that was passed in 2005 that requires people to get a federally compliant driver's license. This was a reaction to the 9/11 event attack, and as a result, people are required to get birth certificate corrections, copies of their marriage abstracts, and also legal name changes when the names they're known by or their identification documents don't match. And we've seen a definite uptick in that. The law originally was slated to take effect on October 1st of 2020, which is what's listed in the resolution. If you look at the resolution, paragraph 4, page 1, it cited the effective date of this October. Thursday, after the commissioner briefing, the president had requested the Department of Homeland Security to delay the implementation 1 year to October 1st of 2021. So I did want to advise you of that did change. I think that was a very good thing because we were absolutely convinced here at the probate court, based on what we were seeing, there was no possible way that most citizens would get their paperwork in order by October 1st of this year, and that's before we had this public health emergency. So with an extra year of actual breathing room, it's possible. Although I'll note that the Washington Post reported in an article on March 27th from last Friday that the U.S. Travel Association estimates that even with a 1 year extension, that they're very much doubting whether or not most Americans are going to be able to get Real ID compliant. In addition, we want to educate the public about some very important programs that'll be even more important during this time of emergency. Our limited guardianship for mental health purposes, our assisted outpatient treatment and outpatient commitment court, the probate court resource center, which provides limited legal assistance to people of limited means on simple wills, and also our good deeds program to instruct people on how to avoid probate court is also very important now. The judge appreciates all the past support of the Board of Commissioners for all of his programs, including the Resource Center and the Assisted Outpatient Treatment and some of those other programs. And pending any questions, I respectfully request passage of this resolution. Thank you.
Are there any comments or questions before I move for adoption? Seeing that there are none, move for adoption of 225-20.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 225-20 has been adopted.
Thank you very much, Commissioners, and I want to thank Mr. Hindenlang as well for working with me on this new process. And I was a little rusty. I hadn't submitted a resolution in a few years, so please take care of yourselves and be well.
Thank you, too.
Stay well. Stay healthy.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Let's move on to economic development and planning.
Resolution number 226-20, resolution awarding a service agreement between the Board of Commissioners and the Community Shelter Board to develop and implement strategies that decrease homelessness in Franklin County in the amount of $5,489,390.
Jim, Mark Paxton, you guys are on mute. Dean, do you have them muted, or do they need to unmute?
No, sir. It appears to be a technological issue on their end. I do not have them muted, sir.
Fuck.
we strike that from the record of the public meeting?
Commissioner, how about if we move on to the 6th item on the agenda and we'll circle back to EDP?
Yeah, that'd be good. Let's move on to Job and Family Services.
Thank you, sir. Resolution number 229-20, resolution approving 3 contract extensions for on-site case management services between the Franklin County Department of Job and Family Services and Mount Carmel East Hospital, Mount Carmel St. Anne's Hospital, and Mount Carmel Grove City Hospital in the amount of $262,932.21.
Good morning, Commissioners. Vivian Turner with Job and Family Services, coming to you live from our Northland facilities. Per the terms of the extension, one of our case managers will be stationed full-time, 40 hours per week at each Mount Carmel Hospital, East, Grove City, and St. Anne's to provide timely assistance in determining patient eligibility, primarily for Medicaid, but also for other agency programs. Mount Carmel will reimburse FCDJFS for the actual monthly cost for each case manager, including salaries and benefits, which is not to exceed $9,357.62 per case manager. The total reimbursement amount for this 12-month term is not to exceed $87,664.07 per hospital, for a maximum combined reimbursement of $262,932.21. This is the final of 2 optional 1-year contract extensions that are permitted under the terms of our existing contracts. All of the terms are unchanged. Excuse me. Pending any questions, I request your approval.
Approved.
We apparently have somebody on this call playing some games. All right.
Commissioner, rest assured that we're figuring out who it is and we'll have them removed if necessary.
Thank you, Dean.
Of course.
Kevin, you're muted.
Okay, sorry. If there are no comments or questions, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Move for adoption of 229-20.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes,
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 229-20 has been adopted.
Somebody just left the meeting, so you might see if you can check on that line.
Resolution number 230-20, resolution approving a contract agreement with Raising the Bar Performance Group for race equity consulting services in the amount of $125,000.
Commissioners, while previous research as well as the analysis conducted by the Kirwan that went into the Rise Together blueprint illustrated the suburbanization or sprawl of poverty in recent decades, concentrated poverty remains persistent in African American census tracts throughout Franklin County. Put more plainly, we know that we cannot move the needle on poverty by tiptoeing around the role of racism. Commissioners, you have been leaders in this regards, starting with the 2-day racial equity training that you and leadership from all of our BOC sister agencies completed. But county government cannot redress longstanding systematic inequities alone. It will require an inclusive strategy. This is why we are partnering with Raising the Bar Performance Group, led by Courtney Kerrigan, to help lead the next phase. Raising the Bar will assist with developing and implementing a countywide discussion around the role of implicit bias and racial segregation as we strive for racial healing and equity. Raising the Bar will work directly with the BOC counties, not just JFS, as well as community stakeholders and partners in this space to spearhead key equity efforts. Their scope will include creating and managing a newly informed Racial Equity Council, coordinating content and curriculum for educational services, and developing delivering services, including race equity workshop facilitation and training. Pending any questions, I request your approval.
Yeah, Vivian, good morning. Given the state of the pandemic and how really everything on our calendars have just been moved, and probably there'll be a domino effect for quite some time. Is the timeline that's currently in this contract still good, or does that need to be adjusted, given sort of things are at a halt right now?
The contract actually goes out through March 31st. We do have the ability to extend the contract if necessary, if the stay-at-home order is prolonged a bit. So we can extend the contract on the back end.
Yeah, I would suggest you look at that. You might as well be proactive about it. I mean, given the nature of the stay-at-home order now, you're already going to be a couple of months back, and I suspect that the work that Courtney will be doing on this she won't be able to interact with people and do the same kind of order. Even on the Racial Equity Council you talked about, I mean, it'll be a minute. And so I'm very supportive of this, but you might as well be proactive and look at an extension going forward.
That is a great recommendation, Commissioner. We'll work on getting an amendment on one of the upcoming agendas to extend the period out. Thank you.
Sure. Yep, absolutely. Are there any further comments or questions?
I agree with Commissioner Boyce, and I think the work is going to become more important as we get out of the COVID-19 immediacy. The work is going to become ever more important as our community is going to be hurting even more and more. We're going to need this work, and I think we're going to need to extend the time period and even may need to extend the length of the contract and the amount of the contract. So let's just be flexible.
Absolutely, Commissioner.
If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 230-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 230-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, and everyone stay safe.
You
You
too.
too.
Thanks, Vivian. Stay safe as well. Director Shimmer, are we available yet? We have no sound from the Economic Development and Planning. We still have no sound from Economic Development and Planning.
Commissioners, Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. May I have the permission of the board to move Resolution 226-20 forward? I would like to present it.
Oh, that's fine.
Commissioners, this resolution would award a service agreement between the Board of Commissioners and the Community Shelter Board to develop and implement strategies that decrease homelessness in Franklin County for an amount of $5,489,390.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get to it on my screen. I had to go back, and I did have a question. I'll give me 1 second. It's just taking me a second to go back to my screen here. Here we go. So thanks, Administrator Wilson, for presenting this resolution forward. We don't have time to delay. I mean, the work that Community Shelter Board is doing now more than ever is going to be critical. The question I have is, have we engaged? I know that Ms. Heritage was on one of our calls and gave a presentation. And have we engaged them to look at sort of what potential needs might be upcoming in addition to their regular appropriation? Are there things that we are being presented with that we should be thinking about now? Because I know they're looking at a number of temporary shelters and whatnot. So I guess I'm saying, is this the last request, or should we expect an additional request from them given the nature of things?
The leadership of the Community Shelter Board has, as you mentioned, outlined a number of activities such as isolation facilities for our homeless populations. At this point in time, they have not presented a request for supplemental funding, but I would anticipate as this pandemic continues, there would be a likelihood that for the overflow shelter, for example, they may come to us and ask for additional funding, because there are some affiliate organizations such as the YWCA and the Male Homeless Shelter. Just recently had communications with them, and they have a supplemental request for funding.
Sure. Okay. I think let's keep an eye on this because, again, just with so much need around the pandemic and all the different scenarios related to it, this is one that I think is going to be critical. And so I'm very supportive of this resolution. And so are there any further comments or questions? Seeing that there are none, move for adoption of 226-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 226-20 has been adopted. Would we like to continue with the rest of the resolutions for EDP?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Resolution number 227-20. Resolution authorizing an economic development agreement with One Columbus to conduct economic development activities on behalf of the Board of Commissioners in the amount of $1 million.
Can I ask, just a second, Ken, can I ask Jim, are you on there now? Jim Shimmer? We lost the video from the office. Now I just see Jim listed on there. Okay, go ahead, Ken.
Commissioners, this resolution will authorize our annual agreement with One Columbus, formerly known as Columbus 2020, to conduct economic development activities on behalf of the county. We had the leader of this organization on our administrative briefing call yesterday and provided an overview of all of the activities that One Columbus is engaged in as we move our way through what we know will be a tough economic cycle as a result of this public health emergency. So these efforts are needed more than ever to support Mr. Kenny McDonald and the work of One Columbus.
Hey, Administrator, I just want to be clear, because I sit on the board of this organization, but I'm an appointee as part of the county. Am I okay to vote on this? Or is anyone from the prosecutors on that can just make sure I'm okay to vote on this, given that I'm on the board?
A couple of assistant prosecutors on.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Nick Soulis. I was trying to figure out how to unmute myself. I think you're okay in this instance, serving as a commissioner appointee to the organization to vote on this today.
I could almost barely hear you, but so you're saying, yes, I can vote on it?
I apologize for my volume not being up. The answer is yes.
Okay,
you can
thank
vote
you.
on it today.
Okay, thank you. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 227-20.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 227-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 228-20. Resolution authorizing an agreement with Greater Columbus Sister Cities International for services that foster economic opportunity and cultural partnerships between Franklin County and international communities in the amount of $125,000.
Commissioners, Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. This is a continuing agreement with Columbus Sister Cities to promote their activities.
Great. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 228-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 228-20 has been adopted.
Great. All important stuff this morning. All right. Now to item number 7, Justice Policy and Programs.
Resolution number 231-20, resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding for the continuation of support for the Franklin County Municipal Court Specialized Dockets in the amount of $340,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Daniels, Director of the Office of Justice Policy and Programs. As stated in the resolution title, this is our annual support of the specialized dockets in the municipal court. This is the first year that we have completely separated the memorandum of understanding, the county section separated from the City of Columbus section, as we are now handling this as sort of a standalone contract through our office. Pending any questions, we'd ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 231-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 231-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 232-20, resolution authorizing 6 grant agreements to provide support and services to incarcerated parents and their adolescent children via an Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention fiscal year 2019 Second Chance Act addressing the needs of incarcerated parents and their minor children grant in the amount of $513,501.
Commissioners, this is the 6 contracts with the service providers for our grant that we received last year through the Office of Juvenile Justice Delinquency Prevention to support incarcerated parents and their adolescent children. The only contract that's still outstanding is with Dr. Samantha Bach, who'll be doing the evaluations. She's moving from Nationwide Children's Hospital to the University of Cincinnati, and therefore we need a little more time to revise that contract. But this is with the providers who will be providing direct services to the parents and to the children. The contract is for the entire 3 years of the grant, and you can see we've broken down the 2020 expenditures and have an attached purchase order for $170,889 to cover this year. Commissioner Boyce, to anticipate the question, we have realized that we're not going to be able to convene the fathers in group, and we're not going to be able to convene the children in group until the pandemic passes. But to that end, we are continuing to develop curriculum. We are continuing to work out all of the data sharing agreements that are necessary between all of the parties. We may need to extend this. The good news is that the grant period is 5 years, and we've applied to use the money over 3. Additionally, the Department of Justice just sent out an advisement earlier this week indicating that they anticipate all Department of Justice grant recipients to receive a 12-month no dollar contract extension on any outstanding Department of Justice grant, because they realize that many of our projects are on hold. So they've already anticipated that they'll be extending our time, and we may need to come back and extend the grant period at the end of 3 years. But for right now, we are covered and are staying in close touch with the Department of Justice in terms of that timing. Pending any questions, we'd ask for your approval of this resolution.
Are there any comments or questions?
No.
Seeing that there are none, move for adoption of 232-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 232-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We are now to item number 8, community partnerships.
Resolution number 233-20, resolution authorizing a COVID-19 response grant to the United Way of Central Ohio for support services of the Community Response Fund in the amount of $250,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Zach Clerk in the Office of Management and Budget. The United Way of Central Ohio and a coalition of partners are working with local nonprofits to identify critical needs and gaps in resources through its Community Response Fund, including access to food and household essentials, childcare, and keeping the community safety net strong as this crisis continues. The United Way will be accepting applications every 2 weeks. The first set of applications were due last Friday. Those were reviewed yesterday, and the United Way identified 17 partners to distribute $373,000 in funding. That represents just under 30% of what the United Way has collected so far, just over $1.3 million as of yesterday. Pending any questions, would ask your approval of this resolution.
Thanks, Zach, or Director Telerik. The only question I've got is how much do we have left in the community partnership fund that we use? What's not unassigned in after this and the other resolution we've got?
There would be 250,000, and we are working with another partner for the allocation of that. We are also working with other agencies to identify similar COVID-19 response grants through the Office on Aging, through the Affordable and Emergency Housing Fund. We're looking at all the different options that are available for this. One other item that we talked about yesterday as part of the review of these applications was the benefits that were in the recently approved CARES Act that would be available to nonprofits through forgivable loan program to cover items like payroll and rent. So they were going to provide some research on that and maybe provide some additional guidance to especially their smaller nonprofits to work through that process as well to provide additional resources into the community.
Great. I mean, the one thing I think I'd like to just maybe plant the seed of caution for is that we're still not in the belly of the curve on this pandemic, and we still have a lot of unforeseen challenges that will be presented in the next coming weeks and perhaps months. And I think that I would ask that you and Administrator Wilson be very prepared to present recommendations to the board of potential resources that we can use to try to respond where we can and appropriately. This won't be the end of what those needs will be, and I want us to be prepared. And in addition to that, I've asked this of Administrator Wilson, and I'm sure this has been forwarded to you. I'd like some connected to this as we begin to think about coming out of the pandemic, the economic implications and whatnot. I think we should begin to forecast now what the potential impact on our budget is going to be, so that as we're making decisions today, we have a sense of what our financial picture looks like in the third and fourth quarter of this year. And so I'd ask if you guys could take a look at that as we go forward. I believe this is critical. This is a critical investment at a critical time to United Way and to other agencies we're supporting. But I also want to just plant the seed of warning that I given where we are in what's been referred to as the curve, we've got a ways to go and a lot of unexpected challenges ahead of us. And we have to be prepared to respond one way or another if we can. And I think having the picture of our third and fourth quarter, even if it's just an estimate and projections, I think is a valuable or a prudent way to make these decisions today. So that's my 2 cents. Are there any further comments or questions?
I couldn't agree with you more, Commissioner. I think you're exactly right on. And I think we need to have a lot of conversations about what we do for the future. And it's not going to be just us. We're going to have a lot of needs that are going unmet for the coming foreseeable future. And we're going to have to work hard with our partners to see how our residents' needs get met.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right, Commissioner Brown. And given that our own budget will be affected by the pandemic too, in terms of tax collection, it's just going to have a domino effect and impact. So you and I, and I'm sure Commissioner Gray, we're all on the same page about this and getting ahead of it in terms of what that might look like in the third or fourth quarter would be a prudent position for us now.
Absolutely.
Well, if there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption. I lost the resolution number. Move for adoption of 233-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 233-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 234-20. Resolution authorizing a COVID-19 response grant to the Columbus Urban League to provide housing, financial, and employment services in the amount of $250,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, the Columbus Urban League offers an authentic, integrated system of services that strengthens families, overcomes barriers, achieves economic mobility, fosters entrepreneurship, constructs on-ramps to wealth creation through smart financial practices, and teaches critical academic and life skills. This grant will support 3 different projects that the Columbus Urban League is working to address the COVID-19 crisis. It includes support of their housing, eviction, and foreclosure services helpline, their financial services 700 credit score helpline, and the various employment services helplines for Ohio Means Jobs, ex-offender services, and the Minority Business Center. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
Director, thanks for
Zach?
bringing. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I was just going to say thank you, President O'Grady. I was just going to say this is extra critical. I dealt with a constituent yesterday who was being evicted, if you can believe that. And the sheriffs were showing up at her door to do the set out, and went through a whole process to stop that process. And I want to thank Impact, because in Bo Chilton's organization, because they came to the rescue to provide resources to pay the back rent of this particular constituent. But this, I think we're going to see more and more of this. And so the Urban League stepping up to, and the county, quite frankly, stepping up to fill the void. This is important, and it's critical at this time, because while that was the one I got closest to, there have been a couple of others that have been up for eviction that they're still being processed one way or another. And so I've learned a lot about evictions in the last week or so. So this is critical work. I'm highly supportive, and thanks for bringing this forward.
Director or Administrator Wilson, I'm just wondering if this resolution meets any of the goals of the poverty blueprint.
Yeah, I believe it would definitely would kind of meet those goals, as well as a meeting immediate crisis related to the COVID-19. And I know just as part of this and the other agreement, as well as any future COVID-19 agreements, going back to the conversation on resources, that we are asking our partners here to report to us on a monthly basis on the performance, and any opportunities we can to recoup these dollars through the reimbursement through the Federal Emergency Management. At 75%, we're going to take as much opportunity to continue bringing resources into our community.
Commissioner, yes, this resolution is aligned with providing immediate assistance around the building blocks upon which the Rise Together blueprint is grounded in, and that's housing, jobs, health, and youth. And this contract has the flexibility built in it into helping those various areas.
Gotcha. Thank you.
If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 234-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 234-20 has been adopted.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you. Let's move now to number 9 on the agenda, which is purchasing.
Resolution number 235-20, resolution authorizing amendment number 3 to the Cooperative Purchasing Network 1 card program awarded to U.S. Bank for travel and procurement cards.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry Balanier, Director of Purchasing. Sorry, my apologies. My video does not seem to be working properly. There we go. There we go. Good morning again. Thank you. Our first resolution seeks to extend the county's current contract with U.S. Bank National Association for the provision of administrative support services related to the county's procurement card program. This is a short-term extension of 120 days under the same terms and conditions of the original contract and will be at no cost to the county. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 235-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 235-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 236-20, Resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $1,080,059.99.
Commissioners, this next resolution requests your approval of 103 purchase orders for which the county auditor has pre-certified available funding. This week, 12 out of 28 eligible POs are being presented for award to small and emerging business enterprise vendors. These 12 POs total $141,877.10. This equates to 43% of the eligible PO volume and 39% of the eligible PO dollar value. These 12 POs are being presented for award to qualified business enterprises in the following categories: 1 minority-owned business enterprise, 1 small and emerging business enterprise, and 10 women-owned business enterprises. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
Great. Are there any comments or questions?
No.
Seeing that there are none, move for adoption of 236-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 236-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 10 and the final item on the agenda is Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 237-20, resolution authorizing a contract with the Saunders Company for census advertising and outreach implementation and services in the amount of $100,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tyler Lowry with Public Affairs. As you know, we're in the midst of the 2020 census, and tomorrow is Census Day, National Census Day. The census is how funding is determined for many of the programs that our residents rely on. And so it's vital that everyone in Franklin County go to my2020census.gov, make sure that we get an accurate count of everyone who lives in the community so that we get all of the funds that we're entitled to. This is the second of 2 resolutions that you have seen with the Saunders Company in order to promote the census and get the word out in hard-to-count communities. We're happy to answer any questions you may have, and we request your approval of the resolution.
Tyler, I do have a question. With the outreach to more vulnerable, hard to reach populations, with COVID-19, how are they going to do that work now? I know originally they were planning to do a lot of in-person work. How will they do that?
That's an excellent question, of course, Commissioner. There are discussions ongoing about that, but changes have already been made. So the census field offices are still open, but most of their in-person outreach has been suspended for the time being. Likewise, the Saunders Group has suspended their in-person outreach, but they are ramping up with social media advertising, things like that. They're switching, for instance, from commuter advertising to people on COTA buses to instead advertising on streaming services with the idea that people may be home streaming Netflix and other things like that. So they're being pretty innovative about it. It is going to be a challenge, though.
For people that don't have internet service, that's going to be an additional challenge. Is Saunders Group working on a strategy for those that don't have internet service?
Of course, I don't mean to imply that that's all that they're doing. There's a comprehensive outreach system. I know the one that we've been working on with them recently is that we're working with the Columbus Public Schools to get information into the hands of people who are coming, for instance, to pick up lunches for their students at the school feeding sites. So there's a number of things going on. They're going to work really hard to reach people throughout the community.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler, this is Commissioner Boyce. I'm curious. I know that Gail Saunders herself is a female minority, and so that's definitely a positive. I'm sure she will work the different segments of our population that we're trying to really get to. But will she still be utilizing with these funds the minority newspaper outlets, other minority women-owned advertising outlets and such? And
Absolutely.
will we have that breakdown at some point?
Absolutely. I don't have it before me, but we'll work on getting some stats for you on that sort of thing. I think Excellent. That's a key and vital part of the plan.
Excellent. I mean, and particularly the Somali newspapers and some of the, the Latino newspapers and whatnot. I'll just say this, that, I mean, during this pandemic, I think we see now more than ever why being counted and having every element of our community understood in depth numerically is critical. Whether it's figuring out ventilator support or PPE needs or other infrastructure needs for the pandemic, it's all rooted in census data. And so here's an example where their census data can be critical to the life and health and safety of our community. You were mentioning school lunches and so forth. All of those things are linked to our census data, and we get one shot per decade to get it right. And the pandemic, we can't allow the pandemic to slow us down into an accurate count direction. And so I want to encourage you. I think you're doing a great job, as well as Deputy Administrator Keenan Wilson. I've been a part of at least 2 or 3 meetings since this pandemic ordeal has started around census. And I think we're doing the best we can to keep it going. And I think you all are doing a great job. So let's keep up the great work. And I'm highly supportive of this resolution to the Gail Saunders Company.
Thank you, Commissioner. As you've mentioned, we will lose out on more than $1,200 for every person that we fail to count. And then over the course of the decade, of course, that's $12,000 for every person. And if we missed, for instance, just 1% of the Ohio population, that would almost be $1.5 billion in lost funding over the course of the next decade. So I think, as you have said, it is vitally important, especially as we are working our way through this current pandemic and as we are working to recover from it, and may have even more people than usual relying on some of the programs that are funded with numbers from the census.
And Tyler, you bring up a really good point, because we're also competing in terms of statewide population with states like North Carolina and Georgia. And that could have an impact on our congressional delegation in terms of the seats that we have. And so we're in a fight for our future in strengthening it through our own growth. And so we're going to do our part in Central Ohio. And this is an investment in that effort. So keep up the great work, and please pass my compliments on to Deputy Administrator Keena Smith as well.
Thank you, Commissioner. I will.
Are there any further comments or questions? Seeing that there are none, move for adoption of 237-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 237-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 238-20, resolution reappointing Craig Treneff to the Central Ohio Transit Authority Board of Trustees.
Good morning, Commissioners. Eric Janis, Deputy Administrator. Pending any questions, we would recommend approval of this reappointment. Mr. Treneff is a board member in good standing, and a private practice attorney and a member of Westerville City Council. So pending any questions, we would recommend approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 238-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 238-20 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 239-20, resolution authorizing the acceptance of private offers of assistance for purposes of emergency management in response to COVID-19.
Good morning again, Commissioners. This resolution will memorialize the acceptance of any donation of services, equipment, supplies, materials, or funds for the purposes of emergency management as allowed pursuant to Section 5502.32 of the revised code. In terms of longer-term planning, OMB will be working with emergency management as we update our 1999 resolution regarding emergency or disaster situations. This item, as well as similar ones like our deposit of public monies, will incorporate into an updated resolution once we get through this crisis to have a new and updated framework to move forward on. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 239-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 239-20 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Okay. Dean, do we have any journalizations today?
No, Commissioner.
All right. Well, that concludes the business of the Board of Commissioners for March 31st, 2020. We will be back right here again on Zoom 1 week from today. We should open up, ask if there's any questions from the media. I know that we have Mark Kovac from the Columbus Dispatch with us today. Do we have any other members of the media with us today? We do not. Mark, do you have any questions for anybody?
Commissioner, since you're going straight to another conference call, I'll just call in there, and if I have any questions, I'll follow up.
That sounds great. It is 10:08, so we are 8 minutes.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
President O'Grady. Hey, in terms of signing the documents, do we just still need to come in and sign that? How is that going to work?
Yeah, we never did I never did get my
So
staff.
we need to come in sometime this week, or is that how that works?
How are we
Dean?
handling that, Dean?
Commissioners, I'll touch base with each of your staffs to make arrangements to have documents signed appropriately.
Yeah, I met up with Kevin last week to sign some documents one day. I would assume we probably need to do that again at some point. Is that the way we're going to handle that, Dean?
My intention was to reach out to your individual offices. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Dean.
Thanks,
you.
Dean.
Thanks,
All right,
Commissioners.
we're just jumping back on this conference call from here, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank
Talk to
you.
everybody in a minute.